Apparently, everyone in the news right now is getting fired. A couple of weeks ago, Tucker Carlson got ousted from Fox News, and now Chris Licht, the CEO of CNN, just got sacked. This is a big deal, as media companies like CNN and Fox News massively impact the way the public sees politics and the world as a whole. And the next presidential election in the United States is only 18 months away. Which, to be fair, if you aren't from the United States, you may think that's a long time, but American presidential elections are like the Bohemian Rhapsody of politics. They just never seem to end. In America, people declare they're running for president about 16 to 20 months before the actual election starts. Anyways, the point is that Licht had to really suck in order to get booted so close to an election cycle. So today, we're going to outline why Chris Licht was fired and what that means for the future of CNN and cable news as a whole. If you guys enjoyed learning about the world of business and personal finance in a level-headed and entertaining way, consider clicking that subscribe button, and let's get into why Chris Licht was fired. So, who is Chris Licht? If you're anything like me, you heard this headline and you were like, I didn't even realize this guy existed. So here's some background on him. He started out doing local Los Angeles news in the early 1990s, then joined MSNBC in 2005 as a producer for Scarborough Country. Side note, that means that he and Tucker Carlson worked at MSNBC at the exact same time, which is wild. Then in 2011, he moved over to CBS to produce CBS This Morning. And you probably don't watch the morning news or care about that market because you're not 65, but Licht killed it over there. He increased the show's ratings and catapulted it to be one of CBS's best performing news shows. He also became the producer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and helped that show perform really well. So even though most of us have never heard of him, he's been pretty successful in the cable media space. So it wasn't viewed as too crazy of a decision when Licht was appointed as the CEO of CNN after CNN's parent company, Warner Media and Discovery, merged. You can tell that the head of Warner Media and Discovery, David Zaslav, was really confident in Licht, as Zaslav didn't interview anybody for the job beside Licht. So we know that Chris Licht was respected in the industry for his achievements, producing the likes of The Morning Show and Stephen Colbert's Late Show. However, as you'll see, despite these past accomplishments, Licht had a tall task of turning around CNN, which has been really struggling ever since Trump left office. His first challenge was to oversee the shutdown of CNN Plus, the network's unsuccessful streaming service. Now you might be wondering, Kobe, who on earth would have thought a $5.99 a month streaming service for news was a good idea? Apparently CNN, because they sunk $300 million into CNN Plus, but it was an absolute failure. And if you want more details about CNN Plus's failure, I'll link a video in the description on that topic right below the like button. Having the first thing you do as CEO be firing a bunch of people is not a great way to get on the remaining workers' good side. This made his next job of improving CNN's primetime ratings even more difficult. Chris Licht thought the solution was to move CNN towards the center of the political spectrum and have the channel become a more dispassionate, down-the-middle news organization. He wanted to differentiate CNN from other networks like MSNBC by aligning CNN more closely with delivering straight-up news rather than opinion-based content. This strategy has merits. Being more centrist should, in theory, attract more viewers as people on both the left, center, and right of the political spectrum will be more likely to tune in if they know their content is going to be largely unbiased, or as unbiased as CNN could be, and advertisers would be much more willing to buy commercials around these shows, as the content they'd be advertising before and after would be much less polarizing. Plus, from an ethical and moral perspective, our country is more polarized than ever, so having a major news network like this attempt to reduce polarization would be really nice. Executing this strategy led to some major changes, including canceling the network's longest-running program, Reliable Sources, and introducing a new morning show hosted by primetime anchor Don Lemon. This didn't go super well though. Only a short while later, Variety magazine published a scathing article that said Don Lemon regularly mistreated the women he worked with, and a couple of days after that, he said this about Republican presidential hopeful Nikki Haley.
She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime, sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another.
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
What the facts are.
This sounds pretty misogynistic and leaves an extra bad taste in your mouth when you remember that Ron DeSantis is being called a young upstart when he's only a couple of years her junior, and Trump and Biden are both literally older than the countries of India and Pakistan. Despite these efforts to bring CNN towards the center, CNN's ratings didn't improve. They actually continued to decline. And many workers at the company didn't like the changes that were occurring. But Chris's superiors at Warner Media remained supportive, arguing that his mission to change the network would just require some time. In an attempt to move to the center of the aisle, Chris greenlighted what would turn out to be one of the most controversial and pivotal choices of his career at CNN. A live town hall with former president and current potential Republican nominee for president, Donald Trump. Leading up to the event, many CNN staffers were apprehensive, given the event's stark divergence from CNN's traditional approach. And let's be honest, they were right to be a little nervous. Love him or hate him, Trump can be quite unpredictable on a live mic. The town hall was marked by confrontations between Trump and CNN's host Caitlin Collins that just oozed disdain.
Electoral Count Act. I've read that. There is no authority. No, legal experts, including Republican.
And the audience, which had an uncharacteristically large number of Trump supporters, made a lot of interjections, which made it feel more like a political rally than a town hall to many of CNN's employees. Chris got a lot of backlash from CNN's 4,000 plus workers for doing this town hall, but he defended his decision to host Trump, arguing that it was a brave move that demonstrated the network's commitment to presenting diverse perspectives. However, this did not quell the staff's disgruntlement. Instead, it exasperated it. So Licht did the only logical thing you could do in that situation and gave extensive access to a reporter from The Atlantic to create a blistering 15,000 word, that's an hour and a half if you read it out loud, article that completely roasted CNN's past news coverage and leadership. That is probably the worst thing you could do in this situation. It's like trying to make yourself look better to your girlfriend by hiring someone to write a song about how bad all of her exes were. Somehow, I just don't think it's going to go over that well. In response to all of his employees turning against him after this article, he tried to rally support by offering an apology and promising to fight to regain their trust. But these comments were just too little too late and weren't enough to reverse the tide of dissent and get his employees back on his side. In the wake of these events, Warner Brothers Discovery boss David Zaslav walked into the Hudson Yards conference room in which all of his New York staffers were gathered and told the employees there and around the world on a conference call that Licht was fired. Licht wasn't even present for the meeting and never sent a final memo or goodbye to the company that he had led for 13 months. Zaslav said that Licht's job was never going to be easy and praised his amazing career, wished him well on his future endeavors, and said for a number of reasons things didn't work out, and that's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, and ultimately that's on me. I take full responsibility for that. In the interim, while they would look for a new CEO, Zaslav said that the role of CEO will be comprised of 3 veteran network executives: Amy Entelis, Executive Vice President of Talent and Content Development, Virginia Mosley, Executive Vice President of Editorial, and Eric Sherling, Executive Vice President of US Programming. These 3 people will have the really tough job to try and lead the struggling CNN as the network now stands at a pivotal crossroads in its life. Especially with the impending presidential election coming up, the key question for CNN is whether it will continue on the path set by Licht or revert back to its traditional practices of more extreme content. What do you think they should do? Were they right to cut bait on Chris Licht? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this till the end. If you want to see more videos like this one, consider clicking subscribe, and you can watch here or here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.